Yeah, we're going live a little bit early today. Decided to go ahead and do a early midday. Haven't done one in a while. Usually the middays are very entertaining. I don't know, people are just more active, so it's nice to do a midday show every once in a while, and we'll see how it goes. Maybe I can do some more here in the future. Happy Wednesday to everybody. It is officially Hump Day, meaning it is halfway through the work week. That's what I'm talking about. Now, for me, think about this, guys. For me, I am never, ever halfway through my work week. Never, never. Because I do videos every single day. This is my job, and I do videos every single day. So for me, there is no halfway point to my work week. But you know what? I enjoy this. So it does, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. But to everybody, to you troopers out there that have those 9 to 5 jobs or the third shift, graveyard, evening shifts, whatever, and you have a work week, happy hump day. You're halfway home. Friday is just around the corner. Real quick reminder to everybody, please hit the like button. That doesn't even mean that you like the video. Maybe you don't like it. Maybe you don't like me. That's fine. But hitting the like button helps this video hit the YouTube algorithm. Whenever that happens, the video gets suggested more. More people click on it, and that's how you build the audience. So I would greatly, greatly appreciate it if you were to hit the like button. That helps the video a lot. And of course, commenting in the comments section. You guys are always active in the comments section. That helps the video as well. If you have a question for me or any of my guests, I'm sure there's going to be some people that pop on. They always do. If you want to jump on, I'll let the stream link at the top of the comment section. I'll put it in again. But if you have a question for me or any of my guests or a comment, or you want to make fun of any of us, hey, it's all fine. It's all good. Best way to do that is the super chat button. That is that little $sign that you see on your bottom right-hand corner, right underneath the comment section. Anything you put in that super chat, I will throw it on the screen. If it's a question, I'll read the question and answer it to the best of my abilities. And whoever's on here as well, they can try to answer it. Or if it's a comment, I'll read the comment, address the comment. And if it's a troll attempt, I'll throw it on the screen and I'll read the troll attempt. Try to keep it college football related. That's the only thing that I ask of you. So anything helps support the show through Super Chat. So we would greatly appreciate it. And it's a great way to get some more interaction from the fans. You guys, because that's the whole reason why Golden Blue Dude exists. Otherwise, I'd be talking to a camera. That's it. Nobody would be watching. Without you guys, I would just be sitting here babbling, which I already babble, but at least people are watching. Jeff says the StreamYard ain't working. Hold on. Maybe I hit something incorrectly. That does happen. So I probably misspelled something. That's usually what happens. See if I can get the right keystrokes in real quick. Actually, an easier code than usual. Maybe I got too confident about it. That might be it. Let me double check. StreamYard.com. Joey got on. CMJN2EX4TM. That should be correct. Should be able to get on here. There you go, Jeff. I know Jeff likes to jump on here as well. Joey, what's going on, buddy?
Hey, man, what's going on? So your problem in the StreamYard link was that you had comma. You had a comma. Yeah, instead of .com, you had comma con.
Okay, gotcha. Sometimes it's like a semicolon instead of a colon, stuff like, or one slash instead of 2 slashes. All it takes is one little thing, and boom, that's it. So let me clear one thing up.
Jeff, did you see I changed your name? I'm sorry, I changed Jeff's name yesterday. He never changed it back.
I like it. I mean, it's not Tuesday anymore, but I mean, I'm still good with that.
It's always Tuesday in Mexico.
Yeah. So I wanted to clear something up about the video that I made earlier today, because a lot of people, I can't believe you're still predicting West Virginia to the ACC. That's not what that video was. I was not predicting West Virginia going to the ACC. That's not what I was doing. What I was saying is there is still a path for West Virginia to get to the ACC. Personally, I think West Virginia is going to stay in the Big 12, and the ACC gets picked apart by a combination of the SEC, the Big Ten and the Big 12 because they're going to convince a lot of teams to break the grant of rights. That's going to open up everything, and then the ACC can get picked apart that way. But there is a path for West Virginia to get to the ACC still, and one of the biggest, I don't know, avenues or reasons is actually the backyard brawl. A lot of eyeballs are going to be on that game. The ACC is going to be looking at that game very intently, looking at the the viewership, all that stuff, because last year's Black Diamond Trophy game was the most watched game of the day for that noon slot. It's in an ACC time slot. It's on a Thursday, so it's going to be the ACC is going to be watching that game for sure. Now, the scenario that I painted out on the video today, as far as the path, remember, I'm not predicting West Virginia going to the ACC. Keep that in mind. That is not my prediction right now. I have been predicting that, but things have changed, so I'm very doubtful on it. Sources haven't backed off, by the way, guys. I don't know if I reiterated that enough in the video, but I still talk to these sources. They have not backed off of it, and I'm just like, okay. But from what I've seen, I'm not so sure anymore. So this is not my prediction anymore. Do I think it could still happen? Yes. And that's what today's video was about, the actual path as to how West Virginia would get to the playoffs. Now, the one thing that West Virginia doesn't want to do is they don't want to go to an ACC that is getting picked apart and there's going to be nobody left. You don't want to jump from the Big 12 and land into a dying ACC. So that would be problem number one that would have to be solved. Because first things first, if the grant of rights don't get broken, West Virginia's not getting in. I mean, that's end of story right there. So there's a cause and effect situation going on, right? So West Virginia doesn't get in at all, no chance whatsoever if those grant of rights don't get broken. But if they do get broken, that puts the ACC at risk of getting picked apart. That's whenever some teams can jump to the SEC and some teams can jump to the Big Ten. The good news is, and I've been looking at this very intently, I do think there will be some teams that get bumped up to the SEC for sure. But I'm not sure about the Big Ten anymore, because what I'm hearing from Big Ten fans, from Big Ten media outlets, is unless your brand is worth at least $100 million, you're not getting accepted now. Maybe a partial share, something like that. Maybe they could work out something like that. But as like getting a full share of the TV contract, you're not getting in. That's a different story with Oregon and Washington because they are not worth $100 million. But the Big Ten still wants them, and they would just get a lower share of the TV revenue. So that means that maybe the ACC wouldn't get picked apart as much as what we were thinking if the SEC gets the biggest brands. So then the question is, well, then why would they vote to break those grant of rights if they know they don't have a landing spot? Well, the answer to that could be ESPN could convince the remaining teams, hey, we're going to go get some big brands out of the Big 12, and your TV contract is going to be much higher. You're going to make more money. If you vote to break these grant of rights, we can renegotiate, bring some good brands in, and raise the amount of money. I'm not saying SEC money or Big 10 money, but at least Big 12 money, or a little bit more than Big 12 money. And for West Virginia, the question would be, well, why would you jump from the Big 12 to the ACC to make the same amount of money? Well, travel. The other question would be the other Big 12 teams. So it would depend on how much more ESPN can get out of that TV deal as to if they could get some teams out of the Big 12. A lot of what ifs in this scenario, a lot of things. Now, like I said at the beginning, I don't think this is happening. The odds are stacked against the ACC right now, and the odds are stacked against West Virginia going to the ACC. But there is technically still a path for West Virginia. You can't say 0% as of right now. There's a small percentage. It's just very, very small. All right. I know that was a lot to take in, but let me get the thoughts of my esteemed panel real quick.
Well, one thing
I'll give you my thoughts. I think that the strongest conference outside the SEC and the Big Ten right now is probably the ACC because of the brands they have and Clemson, Miami, and Florida State, those brands.
Yep.
So they're probably the strongest conference. So when everybody's talking about picking apart the ACC, I don't see the ACC being picked apart right now because I don't think the SEC and Big Ten are going to expand anymore right now. I do think there's a possibility the ACC might expand and bring in a couple of teams, which could be a West Virginia and Oklahoma State or a Notre Dame and somebody, or even could be Oregon and Washington for all I know. But I do think the ACC could expand some more and to make them stronger, which would renegotiate the contract, which would get them more money, and maybe Clemson and Florida State and them won't even leave if they could get some money up there to say $75 million per team. And if they was to bring in, say, a Notre Dame, West Virginia, they would probably get close to $75 million per team. If they was to bring in an Oregon and Washington, probably close to the same thing. So I think the ACC is holding a lot of cards that people aren't looking at right now. I don't think they're necessarily in extreme trouble. Not until it's Clemson and Florida State announced we're leaving. The ACC is probably the strongest conference there is right now, in my opinion.
And side note, real quick, a lot of people don't realize by ESPN backing out of the Big Ten negotiations, they actually freed up a lot of money.
They freed up a whole lot of money, $300 million a year. So they can throw some money at the ACC and have the SEC and let the box and all of them battle over Big Ten and Big 12 and Pac-12.
Don't forget about the Pac-12. Yes, I don't think they would throw all that money at the ACC. I think they would throw most of it towards the ACC, but they could throw some of it to the Pac-12 as well.
Yeah. So they're holding, ESPN's holding pretty good cards right now. If you think about the brands they've got just in the SEC and the ACC, that's a lot of revenue there. So they're not folding by any means, and they're fine. I think that they will. I think the ACC will expand. I really do. I think that's going to be a pathway possibility for West Virginia to get there. And then again, there's a lot bigger brands out there. As a West Virginia fan, you hate saying it, but it's true. There's always a Notre Dame. There's always Oregon and Washington. They're bigger brands than West Virginia. Maybe not maybe our name brand is just as good, but when you're talking about money and media market, those three teams would dwarf us. So there's a possibility, though, that they could bring in a couple of teams plus West Virginia into the mix, because that's probably the third best brand available, fourth best brand available right now out there. So that's my thoughts. I think the ACC is okay right now.
Yeah, I would agree. I'm going to do something, and Joey doesn't even know about this. I hope he doesn't get mad at me. But if y'all remember, Joey was in the hospital not too long ago, and y'all know how hospital bills can get, and, well, life in general can get. So what I want to do right now is any of my moderators, including you, Joey, put the PayPal link in the comment section. Anything that's donated through PayPal today, I want to give it to Joey because I want to help him out because he went through a rough time there for a while. He was actually clinically dead for a couple minutes, so he wasn't breathing, and he went to the hospital. He was in ICU. Probably came home a little bit earlier than what he was supposed to, but Joey's stubborn. That's okay. We're glad to have him back. But anything that goes to PayPal today, I'm going to give it to Joey, 100%.
Hey, Chris, can I do something?
Go ahead.
I'll buy a $50. Joey makes those little wooden pitchers.
Mm-hmm.
I'll buy a $50 one off him, and you give it away you give it away.
Okay. You want to do that through PayPal?
Yeah, I'll get with Joey here today.
Okay.
And we'll get
Yeah.
that all worked out. But I'll buy one off of Joey to help him out. And then, like I said,
that sounds good.
Who you want to give it to?
That'll work.
Thank you, sir.
Not a problem.
That would greatly help out Joey right now.
So Jeff is going to donate a picture to give away to someone in our chat. Is that what you're saying, Jeff?
Yeah, you can do it with whoever gives you donations or who buys goods out of your store. I don't care how you figure out who to give it to, but
okay,
you can figure something out.
Sounds good.
I don't want to say this person's name, but you know who you are. I have you in the background of StreamYard right now. The reason I'm not letting you on is because yesterday you were playing some porn in the background, and that's not going to happen on Golden Bluted. So you might as well stop trying. It's not going to happen. But yeah, all the donations on PayPal is going to go to Joey Foster today. I think we can help him out. What do y'all think? I think we can help him out. Now, if y'all have questions for me or Joey or Jeff or Mountaineer News, I know he doesn't talk a lot, but you might want to answer a question. And of course, Robert, best way to get our attention is through the super chat. It is that little $sign down on the bottom right-hand corner, right under the comments section. Anything you put in that super chat, I will throw it on the screen and we will address it. And don't forget to hit the like button. That is very, very important. That helps the video grow. So if you haven't, please hit the like button. Simple, easy, fast, and free. So, Jeff, what did you think about the path for West Virginia to the ACC?
Well, I did a video today, and my video today was kind of what we talked about last night. My first video today, it was national champion. Which teams have won national champions? And it's broke down to, in the last 50 years, the SEC's won 23, the Big Ten has won 13, the ACC has won 13, the Big 12 has won 1, and the Pac-12 has won 2. Now, that's including Oklahoma and Texas already into the SEC. That's got Nebraska into the Big Ten.
This is after conference realignment.
After realignment.
Okay.
So after the realignment is all said and done, the ACC has 5 teams with 13 national championships since 72, and the Big Ten has 5 teams with 13 national championships since 72. So by far, the ACC is definitely the third best conference out there. And I do think, I heard today, I know I've been preaching 48. There's going to be 2 24 teams, but they're now thinking that possibly going to 20 and ending it at that. So if we end at 20, that means the Big Ten would pick up 4 schools. And if one is not Notre Dame, then that's 4 Pac-12 schools. Now the SEC is going to have to grab 4. They will grab from the ACC or try to. So what happens if the SEC, and we're talking about these conferences, and it's really not the conferences. This is Fox and this is ESPN doing all these moves. So basically, what if ESPN goes to the ACC and says, listen, we want to pull out Clemson, Florida State, North Carolina, and Virginia, and we want to put them in the SEC. This is what it's going to cost to take them out. But what if we give you West Virginia, Oklahoma State, and then I don't know who the next ones are. Are we looking at a Baylor? Are we looking, to fill the void? And if you let us do that, we'll up your yearly payout because it's so low right now that it's a bargain. Not that those 4 teams are going to replace what's lost, but it's such a bargain. They might get the same amount, if not maybe a little bit more.
Right.
And that would lock up ESPN owning the ACC with 4 teams from the Big 12, and it'll get the 4 top teams into the SEC.
That makes sense. That makes sense because I think the big thing that people are not realizing, they're like, you're losing those big brands, the SEC. How would bringing in lesser brands, good brands, but still technically lesser brands, how would that bump up the value? Well, anything would bump up the value because the value of the ACC is low as far as the payout. They're getting paid pennies compared to everybody else.
And think about this. If we take Virginia and not Miami, that still gives the ACC a team that's won 5 national championships since the mid-'80s. You're going to bring in West Virginia, who has a lot of wins. But the thing with West Virginia is, what's the ratings going to be when they play Pitt? What's the ratings going to be when they play Louisville? What are they going to be with, all these other teams is going to help keep the number up. And maybe Pitt and Georgia Tech, can start coming back to prominence. Now, I will tell you today, I feel sorry for Wake Forest, and I did a really short video today that they lost their quarterback for an extended period of time. So I think that's going to hurt them this year. But I do think the ACC, even if we take 4 good teams out, I think by adding West Virginia for sure, you got to have West Virginia because you got all them rivalries. Right. Oklahoma State is a good brand.
Yes, it is.
Baylor not only has basketball, but now their football is good. So that's 3 brands. And I would basically put Baylor ahead of Florida State right now as far as competition-wise. Not as far as brand-wise, but as far as competition. Plus, that gives the ACC a footprint into Texas.
Right. And one brand that I didn't mention going to the ACC that would be a possibility because of their strength would be Texas Tech. Now, in my scenario, I had Texas Tech going to the Pac-12 because I think that ESPN would also want the Pac-12 to, be a decent conference as well because a lot of people forget ESPN has the main rights to the SEC, the ACC, and is going to be the Pac-12. So they're going to want the Pac-12 to be relevant still. And I think Texas Tech would help, number one, calm the nerves of the teams in the Pac-12 because ESPN doesn't want any more teams jumping out of the Pac-12 if they're going to make money off of them. They want Oregon and Washington to stay. You bring in a brand like Texas Tech into the Pac-12, and can they finally swallow their pride and bring in BYU because they've already made that mistake once before where they rejected BYU. Would they make the same mistake now that USC and UCLA is in the Big Ten? So that's why I put BYU and Texas Tech in the Pac-12 because those are some good brands. They're far enough west to where it would actually make more sense for the Pac-12 and keep the Pac-12 relevant.
Why don't you also throw Kansas over there? I know Kansas isn't a football power.
Right when I uploaded that, I said, Kansas and Kansas State could actually go to the Pac-12.
Or what about Kansas and Iowa State to give you a different market instead of the Kansas market? Separate Kansas and Kansas State. Take Kansas and Iowa State. Iowa State will give you good basketball. They'll give you good football 4 out of 10 years. I don't know.
Exactly.
Because ESPN has to have the Pac-12, like you said. They need After Dark. What are they going to put on the 9, 10 o'clock p.m. football games? They got to have a Pac-12.
Right. Exactly.
And
what's going on, Robert? I see Robert over there. It looks like Robert really wants to get in on this. What's up, buddy? I think you're on.
You're on mute. Just give me 1 second, Robert. I'm going to say something. I just went over to Jeff Grimm's page. He just started his page. He's got 40 subscribers. And I know that in 10 more subscribers, he'll be able to go live. So I'm going to post a link right there to his page. Why don't everybody hit him up, subscribe, and he'll be able to do some
Hey, somebody take care of the chat. There's we got a troll that's putting some stuff in the chat that's not
nothing
good.
I can do from StreamYard. Yvette's in there right now. She's looking.
Any moderators in the chat? We got a.
She got it.
Today we have a ridiculous one. He's trying to get me in the chat, and he's trying to get me on StreamYard. It's I'm not letting you on, buddy. I'm just sorry. Well, I'm not sorry. You showed me yesterday. You're not coming on. You can put whatever screen name you want on there. It's not happening. I'm not risking my show getting taken down. That's just not how this goes. Robert, what were you thinking about all this?
Yeah, really, I see it as ESPN has no sweat over college football, but they're probably going to be sweating with the other contract deals with the other sports, like the NFL, the NBA. That's probably the reason why they didn't offer Big Ten any money, really. That's the reason, because the NBA is going to really want a big contract. The NFL is going to want a big contract with them. And plus the NBA, they have to eat up that WNBA part too, just to keep them on their network. So it's like, really, they're going to try doing cost cutting instead. They'll give low ball offers to like the Pac-12 and the ACC. And then offer them to go, you can come into the SEC. You'll make just the same money, and it's just cost cutting for them.
I see what you're saying, but I don't think they would go in that direction. ESPN wants to they want to basically own college football. Now, they backed off the Big Ten, so that's going to help Fox a lot. They're going to own the Big Ten. I don't even know if College Game Day is going to go to any more Big Ten campuses
and that's
after 2023 because, ESPN isn't going to carry any of those games. And, a lot of people are saying, well, that doesn't matter. They're going to still go over there because that's a big atmosphere. I don't know. I'm not so sure about that. No. I know in the past they've gone to Big Ten conferences, but they carried those games on their network in primetime. Now that that's not going to happen, I just don't see ESPN doing that. That's just how they are. They're not all about college football. They're about themselves. So if they're not going to carry the Big Ten, they're not going to go to Big Ten campuses. What are y'all thoughts on that?
I definitely agree with you on that.
Yeah, they're not going to give Fox free publicity.
Exactly. And another thing this does help with Fox is, and I've seen this in comments in the videos that I've made, is now people are talking about the college football, the Fox college football pregame on Saturdays. What's it called?
I can't think about that one.
I believe it's called Big Noon Kickoff.
Yes, that's it. Big Noon
Big Noon Kickoff, yeah.
So with ESPN not going to Big Ten campuses, that could get much bigger because they're going to have the main rights to the Big 12 and the Big 10. So it's not just going to be, mainly Big 12 now. You're going to have some Big 10 games on there. So I think Fox is in a good position. But at the same time, I think that's why ESPN is going to try to counter that by, convincing teams in the ACC, hey, we need to break this grant of rights and we're going to go get some teams from the Big 12 and you're going to make more money. Even if you don't land in the SEC, we have, Clemson, Florida State, North Carolina, and whoever. We're going to bring them up. You're not going, but if you break the grant of rights, we're going to go get some teams. And even if it's just $20 million more, you're going to make more.
But here's where I see the mistake made in the Big Ten. Now, Fox has determined that they get the number one game every week. So at times, that's going to really hurt the Big Ten. Because when you have USC and UCLA move in, when you got USC playing at Michigan or Ohio State the first time, they're going to play the noon kickoff. That's terrible timing. The second problem I see is CBS screwed up big time. They decided they didn't want to pay the SEC $300 million a year for the number one game of the week. They decided to pay $350 million to the Big Ten to play their second best game of the week. Right. Now, at 2:30, are you going to watch Channel 5, the best SEC teams playing each other, or are you going to turn to CBS and watch the second best Big Ten game?
That's a good point, actually. They need to work that out because having your number one game at noon that's not smart at all. Not at all. So would they take their big noon kickoff to those noon games and then primetime is like second best game? How's that going to work? Because I know the way ESPN did it, their number one game, that's the campus that they went to for game day. And most of the time it was the primetime. Sometimes it was 3:30, but it was never the noon.
No, or it wasn't even the 2:30. Like when Alabama would play LSU, and we were both really high ranked, and we played the 2:30 game.
3:30.
You know,
well, 2:30 for you, Alabama. Yeah,
it was. It was 3:30. But game day wasn't there. Game day always seemed to go to whoever was playing the night game.
Gotcha.
Because Kirk Herbstreit usually announced that game.
Right. Exactly. I took a jab at Kirk in my video, because if they don't go to Big Ten campuses, they're not going to go to their number one stop, which has been Ohio State. And of course, we all know that Kirk Herbstreit is a big proponent of Ohio State. He's a grad from there. So I don't think he's going to be too happy about that.
No.
But, I mean, what's he going to do? Quit? I don't think so. But we might see him pout a few times and say a few things, but we'll see. And is this going to affect the playoffs in any way, as far as like favoritism?
Let me say to the person that keeps coming in down there in there, I'm just going to keep kicking you. You're not coming into the chat, into the group.
I was going to ask you, Joey. I was going to ban, but it says everybody would have to re-authenticate. Would that be a pain in the rear end for everybody?
Well, we won't have to, because we're already in the stream. But anybody that comes in after us, or if we kick somebody out, then they have to re-authenticate.
Okay.
But, it's just authenticating through YouTube to let them know that you know that they're a real person. But I've heard that it doesn't work real well, so I don't know if I'd do it.
Okay, I got you. Yeah, we have this one. Whoever this person is started this yesterday, and it's just. I mean, it's not going to happen. What can I say? The crazy thing is, it looks like a young kid. Yeah, the crazy thing is, it looks to be a young kid. So, somebody's parents need to be called, because he was. It's not a good situation, not at all.
Yeah.
So, will this affect the playoffs in any way? Do y'all think?
I think it might actually hurt a little bit, because I think that ESPN has saved so much money that they can now bid more for the playoffs.
Right.
But I am a proponent of getting NBC, CBS, Fox, bid more money. Let's get the playoff. Let's do the first round. One gets, let's say CBS gets the first game. NBC gets the second game, and then the championship is on ABC. And then next year we go, 2-2-1, and just rotate it.
Similar to how they do the bowls. Similar to
how they do the bowls, or even the NFL playoffs.
Right, I got you. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
If you just give it to ESPN, then I think you're limiting yourself, because I think. Yeah,
that was my point.
The college football playoffs need to get a little bit more like the NFL in the way of the commercials. You think of the amount of money the NFL makes on Super Bowl Sunday, the commercials. What does what that network makes? I mean, some of those commercials are $8 to $10 million for a 30-second slot. So think if the college football could even get, let's say, a quarter of that, $1 million or 1.5 per slot, and you have 50 commercials during a game.
Right.
You could generate quite a lot of money, and that's a lot bigger payout for all the schools.
I want to give a quick channel alert. We are now 102 subscribers away from 10,000. So I'm thinking that's going to happen by mid to late next week, maybe even sooner. But I'm going to say a week from now, I think we'll be at 10,000 subscribers. I'm getting excited, guys. I'm getting very, very excited about this.
You could actually hit 15,000 by the end of the year.
Man, yeah, me and Joey were talking about that, because now we had like two big booms. Right now we're still, I mean, compared to like, I don't know, February, March, April, and early May, right now would be a boom. But compared to the big booms, it's not. So I'm not going to call it the boom, but it's still a very active period right now. Before all this started, our goal was to get to 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year. And we were figuring out the math, how many do we need to average per day? And whenever we talked about it, we had to average, what was it, Joey? It was a pretty high amount. It was what, 50?
It was pretty high then.
Yeah,
it was somewhere around 50. And
it was like 50 some, and we were bringing in like 20, 25. So we were like, hoping for a boom. That'll bring that average down. Let's get to 10,000. Well, the boom came. There were several days where we were getting 200 to 300 subscribers a day. That was incredible. That was bigger than last year's. Last year was a great boom. This year's even better. And right now we're still averaging, 30, 40 a day, which is still a pretty good day. It's not a boom day, but it's still pretty good. So if we keep going at that pace, we'll be at 10,000 by a week from today. That's going to be freaking awesome. And the channel just turned 3 years old, so I think we're doing pretty good.
And last year you got a boom because Oklahoma and Texas came. That's when everybody started to find you. This year, USC and UCLA's gone, so that brought you.
Yes.
Now you're getting a boom because now we're talking about TV contracts.
Right.
That's up. So that gives you something to talk about. Now
we're not even in the regular season. The regular season college football YouTube channels do great. We're not even in the regular season yet.
Right. And I mean, think about it. We're 3 weeks away from kickoff, right?
Right.
Just over 3 weeks.
Right.
And we have not had a show with you yet of let's discuss some games. There's so much news going on that we're not even at the games yet,
Right. So I just did the math. For us to get to September 1st, we need to average 4.5 subs a day.
Yeah, that's easy.
I think we're good.
Yeah, we'll be there. We'll be there. We'll be there sometime tomorrow night. I would say tomorrow night,
You
or
think so?
possibly. Yeah, I think so. Possibly Friday morning, but I would say tomorrow night.
Okay, I mean that's a big day. I'm hoping you're right. We'll see.
Now, how's your Patreon page doing?
We've gained probably had our highest gain recently. We're at, let's see, we are now at. By the way, Joey, you got a donation, so I'll send that to you later.
Okay.
To PayPal. Hold on. What were you talking about? That got me sidetracked.
Your Patreon.
Patreon. There we go. Patreon, we are at 21, and a month ago we were at like 14. So that's a gain. No, we were at 13. So that's a gain of 8. That doesn't sound a lot, but for Patreon, that's a lot. So Patreon's doing good. And for anybody that's wondering what Patreon is, that's like a separate part of the YouTube channel. You get more perks. We actually started a consistent live show. What's it called, Joey?
We're going to do a show called After Dark, and it's going to be every Friday night at 10 o'clock. It's going to be After Dark with the professionals, and so it's a show that I'm going to host unless GBD can make it in, and we'll have special guests on there, former football players, former NFL players, and not just former players from West Virginia. We'll have other players too. So be sure and come over and come in, and we'll be talking college football for about an hour and a half each Friday night at 10.
Yeah, so we have that as a regular show. You get discounts off the merchandise store, which me and Joey are working on that. We're working out a way to where the merchandise isn't as expensive as what it is right now. So I think that's going to be better. But even with the cost cut down, you'll still get a discount off of it. So there's that. We're going to have the live streams of actual games that we're going to let the Patrons vote on. So the Patrons vote, and then me and all the Patrons watch it together. And then, of course, the score prediction contest. Every week I pick out a game, and the Patreon that guesses closest to the actual score wins $20 every single week. And it's not just you win $20 one time and you're disqualified. No, if you're good at it, you could win a lot of money because you can win it as many times as you want. So, Patreon's going to be really, really good during the regular season, which Patreon usually does better during the regular season. But this year, it's way better than what it was doing last year. So I'm very, very excited about that.
Well, and I bet you get another 10 people before the season kicks off just for the score prediction.
We still got 3 weeks to go. And honestly, I think we will actually gain more Patreons once people see actual winners. Like that, like, oh, somebody actually did win $20. All right, let me get on. I think I can do that. Or in their head, they're like, man, I would have won because my guess would have been closer than that. I need to get in on this. You know what I'm saying?
And think about it. All you got to pay is $5 a month for a chance to win $80 that month.
Yeah.
If there's 4 games, so $5.
Well, even the higher the Patreon, the more guesses you get per week. So even if you are a $20 Patreon, you're going to get 20 guesses per week. So that gives you a much higher chance of not just winning it once, but winning it twice, doubling your money. So
if I go to 100, I got a good chance, because at 20, I'm not even going to be close.
That's when you'll just break even if you win all the time. There you go. Hey, that's a good idea. Joey asked who all in the chat is Patreon members. Yeah, I've wondered that myself. I know Jeff is. I know Joey is. So yeah, it would. I know Sergeant Pickles is.
I'm sure
Alan Belomo is. Yeah, I know you, buddy. I see you. So we do have a few Patreon members in the chat. Alan, yep. Alan, yeah.
So Alan, I'm going to make you a mod. Alan, Belomo, I'm making you a mod right now. We need another moderator in there. So
Charlie wants to know what it takes to become a Patreon. Patreon is an extension of Golden Blue Dude. So the Patreon page, you go over, all you have to do is search up Golden Blue Dude Patreon page. You go over there. Memberships range from $2 a month all the way up to $50, which I really don't expect anybody to join at $50, but it's available if you want to. Most people join the $2 and $5. So once you join, that's $2 a month if you join the $2, $5, and so on and so forth. And once you join, that's when you get all those perks. You get access to the live shows that only Patrons can see. Then the discount to the merch store. Then watching the games live on a stream, and then of course the score prediction contest. So then you can choose how many guesses you want by how big your pledge is, if that makes sense. So yeah. And I saw the live shows for the Patreon page are getting larger as far as audience as well. So that's encouraging to see.
Yeah. If you Nightbot in the chat, every once in a while she'll post a link to the Patreon page. So if you scroll up through there, you might be able to find the link. Yeah, so it's pretty easy.
Awesome. All right, let's get back to what we were talking about earlier.
Funny. This dude that keeps trying to come into conversation down there. The only thing he's done now is he's just changed his name.
Same guy. That's what. Yeah, I know who he is now. I'm not fooling anybody. Yeah. So getting back to what we were talking about earlier, as far as the path for West Virginia to the ACC, let me reiterate that is not what I'm predicting. I'm just showing y'all the path. Last year, I was at this time. Last year, I was actually predicting West Virginia and Notre Dame to go to the ACC because that's what my sources. Joey knows who my sources are. They're pretty good sources, are they not, Joey?
Yeah, they are. And
so
I don't believe they were wrong.
Right, and we were believing what they were saying. So I was saying it with confidence. Well, this is obviously a fluid situation, and things have changed from last year to this year. Now I'm like, I don't think that's going to happen. But the crazy thing is they haven't backed off of it. All right. Okay. You haven't backed off of it. So let me look into this and see if there's an actual path to this. Is there a possibility? There is a path, but it's a very narrow path. So for West Virginia to get the ACC, we talked about it earlier. The grant of rights, number one, has to be broken. And you would have to convince all the teams that, hey, we're going to go out and get some teams from the Big 12. And even if you don't land in the SEC with the bigger brands, you're going to receive a bigger payout because we're getting these brands from the Big 12. And even if it's $20 million more a year, that's still $20 million more a year. They're not going to promise SEC money or Big 10 money or anything like that. They're just going to promise more money. So I think that's a possibility. And so in the video that I made earlier, I listed all the teams that I thought the ACC could bring in. The only two teams that I left out as far as a possibility was BYU and Texas Tech. And it's not because those two teams aren't good brands. They're actually really good brands. But we can't forget that ESPN also has the main TV media rights to the Pac-12. So I designated Texas Tech and BYU to the Pac-12. Now, I did make the mistake of saying that the Big Ten would probably grab Kansas and Kansas State. No, that's not going to happen. I was wrong. Flat wrong. Not going to happen. They are not worth $100 million, and that's the only way you're going to get into the Big Ten right now. So Kansas and Kansas State, they also could go to the Pac-12 as well. So you'd have Kansas, Kansas State, BYU, and Texas Tech off to the Pac-12. So the rest of the teams in the Big 12, I think, has a possible chance of getting in. So going from, and then I'm going to get your guys' take on this and see if y'all feel the same way or if you would list the teams a different way. Going from highest probability to lowest probability, number 1, West Virginia, for sure. Would y'all agree with that? Number 1, West Virginia has the highest probability. If it happens, that's a big if it happens, my opinion is West Virginia would have the highest probability of being brought into the ACC. Would y'all agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay. So number 2, this is I'm going to go with Oklahoma State. Unless they brought them into the SEC. So leaving Oklahoma State to the SEC, leave that on the back burner, and we're focusing on the ACC. I think Oklahoma State would be number 2.
Yep.
A little iffy on that one.
Okay. So far, so good. Number 3, this is where things get a little tight. Okay. I would say it would be between UCF and Cincinnati. How do y'all feel about that for the 3rd spot?
I would go UCF and Baylor.
All right. So, you said Cincinnati and Baylor.
UCF and Baylor.
UCF and Baylor. That's
UCF
fair.
because of the market size and Baylor because of the product.
Right.
I would say Cincinnati and UCF because
that's what I'm saying, and I think Baylor's right up there as well. Jeff brought up a good point. They have a great brand. They're bringing a lot of fans right now, a lot of eyeballs. They are near the Dallas area, so you can tap into that market. It's a pretty big TV market. So instead of a tie, let's put Baylor in in the 3rd spot. We'll say West Virginia 1, Oklahoma State 2, and then Baylor 3. Who grabs the 4th spot? This is where things get splitting hairs. We still have Cincinnati. We still have Houston with a massive TV market in the city of Houston, 5th largest in the nation, but they have to compete with Texas and Texas A&M for fans as far as watching their games. We still have. Did I already mention Cincinnati or UCF?
You already mentioned both of them.
Okay,
Cincinnati, UCF. But Cincinnati's still in play because you put UCF and Baylor in 3rd.
Okay. So Cincinnati, then Houston. You still have TCU. They're near the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And then, of course, Iowa State. I would actually put Iowa State at the bottom as far as chances of getting in. Appreciate you, Charlie Allinger, for becoming a YouTube member. Now, I hate saying this. Me and Joey have had this conversation about people that become members through YouTube. That's not the same thing as Patreon. And that's not your fault. That's YouTube's fault. That's how they get more money. You are supporting the channel by becoming a member through YouTube, but you don't get the Patreon perks because it's a separate thing. I wish I would have explained that more clearly. I don't know why does YouTube do that? I don't understand why that's a separate thing. Like, it's annoying.
Yeah, what I would do if I was
because YouTube takes a bigger percentage.
Right. Yeah. So if you become a member,
that's a channel member
with a percentage. Yeah.
Right. Anybody that's a YouTube channel member of Golden Blue Dude, like I say, appreciate the support, but I would just wait until the bill's getting ready to come due again and cancel that membership and join Patreon. Number 1, you support the show more, but number 2, you get perks, and there's all kinds of perks over there. So.
Right. Like Charlie. Hopefully I'm pronouncing your last name right. Allinger or Allinger. Maybe it's Allinger. There we go. Charlie Allinger. We appreciate your support, but we want you to get the perks as well. So the best way to do that is to Google Golden Blue Dude Patreon. Joey, can you put that in the chat so they have the link to that?
Yeah.
When you get a chance. We just want you to be able to have access to the perks. We're not saying, if you don't want to join Patreon, that's fine, and you want to support through this way, that's fine. We just want you to be aware that that's different from Patreon. That's you're not going to get the perks of Patreon by joining through YouTube. That's a difficult thing to explain as well, because not a lot of people explain that. I've noticed that over a lot of YouTube channels, and it's kind of difficult to explain that. But anyways, anybody that has a question for me or one of my guests, or you have a comment, best way to get our attention is through Super Chat. That's the little $ on your bottom right-hand corner under the comment section. We will blast it on the screen like you see here with Charlie when he joined through YouTube, and we'll read the comment and answer it to the best of our ability. So last place, as far as teams that I don't think would go to the Pac-12, but having a chance to get to the ACC, I would say Iowa State. I think Iowa State is in a bad position if that were to happen.
Iowa State or Kansas State, I would have those two together.
Right, because the reason I have Kansas and Kansas State to the Pac-12 is because a lot of people say they would go together, but it could be an either-or situation to where it could be Kansas and Kansas State or Kansas and Iowa State. But I think Iowa State would be more in danger.
But I think your number 4 team to the ACC, you had it kind of whittled down to a few.
Yeah.
I think it would be Cincinnati over Houston. I think Houston has a better market, but I think Cincinnati kind of has a little bit of a history playing West Virginia sometimes, playing Syracuse, So
yeah,
I think
you got to look at how much viewership the matchups are going to make. You bring in Cincinnati, and you're going to get big numbers whenever they play West Virginia. You're going to get big numbers whenever they play Louisville, whenever they play Pitt, whenever they play Syracuse. Great point. In fact, that might bump Cincinnati higher up on the list. They might be a 3 or a 2 because of bringing in regional value.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that probably puts them over Baylor.
Oh, sorry, dude. You were there you go. You're unmuted. My bad. I muted you because you walked away and
I was
taking
my dinner into the refrigerator. That was
exactly.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to.
I didn't notice that I was muted, but
yeah.
I'm like,
well, I saw you moving your mouth like, I forgot to unmute him.
That's one reason why I was pushing Cincinnati so much higher because of the ACC. Because the ACC has let's see, two or three teams that were part of the old Big East that Cincinnati used to play against.
I mean, that's one of the reasons why West Virginia has such a high value. I do think West Virginia has a better brand than Cincinnati, but their main draw in the ACC is they're going to be playing their former rivalries, and that's going to boost the TV numbers.
Mm-hmm.
So Cincinnati has the similar argument. So the arguments with these teams, as far as weighing who's over who, is you got to weigh brand value over regional rivalry value. How do you balance that out?
And some of those regional rivalries, man, they bring more money, and that's people from other parts of the U.S. coming in, wanting to watch it too. It's like, it's not just that small little region; it's everywhere because they heard about this feud with these two teams.
I would agree.
Does ESPN screw the Big Ten? And this is how ESPN can really screw the Big Ten. The Big Ten just signed a big deal. They got NBC on board, which now NBC is going to kiss Notre Dame's butt. They're going to give them $75 million.
Yep.
Now the ACC and the SEC go to Notre Dame and say, look, we want conference champions to get something. We're going to take 4 teams out of the ACC, Clemson, Florida State, North Carolina, and Virginia. Let's move you into the ACC. You already play 6 games. Just play 2 more, and you're a full member. You keep all your home money, plus you get half the pay, let's say, of what the ACC pays out. So now you're going to make more than you would if you joined the Big Ten. Plus, who are you playing?
Right.
You don't have the competition. It's a lot easier. So think about that. The ESPN could really screw the Big Ten with their deal and make it work against them.
Yeah, what about Notre Dame too? Because we know that the Big Ten just signed this massive deal, or is about to sign this massive deal with Fox. And the number that I heard, if Notre Dame were to join the Big Ten, that number would go from 1.5 billion to 2 billion. That's a big jump. Does that? I mean, Notre Dame's saying that they're asking for $75 million a year, and they'll be fine staying independent. Can the Big Ten finally sway them to join?
But think about it. If Notre Dame is going to make $75 million off of NBC, okay, and let's say the number is 200 billion, and I don't have a calculator, but 200 billion or 2 billion divided by 16 teams at 1.6 billion, that's $1 million a team. But with Notre Dame in, now you're looking at 17 teams, so you're going to share the pie even more. So you're still only going to be around the 100 million. So Notre Dame is only 25 million shy. But if they agree to join the ACC and only play 2 more games, they get half the share of the ACC, let's say. And with Notre Dame in there, it'll raise it a little bit more. And then if you bring West Virginia and them over, you're going to make probably 50 million. So another 25 million on top of 75. You're making the 100 million the Big Ten is, and you're not playing Ohio State and Michigan and use Penn State for a chance at a playoff.
Well, also, how does this affect the relationship between Notre Dame and NBC now that they're jumping in big money with the Big Ten? How does it affect that relationship?
Well, let me say something here real quick. I don't think that Notre Dame is going to the Big Ten at any time, and I'll tell you why. You know, the Big Ten has consistently left Notre Dame out as they've expanded, as they've grown. They're just left them out, and Notre Dame's, they're pretty proud up there, and they don't like that. So I don't see them joining the Big Ten. I think that's why they made the agreement with the ACC and said we'll join the ACC if we join any conference. I don't think they will ever go to the Big Ten. I really don't think they will. I think that they'll join the ACC or the SEC before they would the Big Ten. So I also you got to remember the money. You got to remember the money. They're tied in with the ACC, so it costs them money to get out of the grant rights as well.
Right, exactly. Have y'all been noticing what I'm doing? Have y'all been noticing what I'm doing? So I'm keeping track of the subscriber count. And so I have the banner option of updating that banner that you see scrolling at the bottom. So when we started the show, the banner said we're 105 subscribers away from 10,000. Well, we've hit 9,900. So I updated that to we're now 100.
That's not bad.
Just 100 away from 10,000. So I'm going to keep my eyes on the subscriber count. And if that number keeps moving, then I'll keep updating it.
One thing a lot of people don't know, and this will make Joey feel good because this was even before Joey's time. But talking about Notre Dame and the Big Ten, it pretty much started with Newt Rockne. Michigan hated Rockne. Rockne got into it with Illinois, and Michigan told Rockne, you will never be part of the Big Ten. Your school is not prestigious enough. You are not good enough. You will never get in. And let me tell you, Notre Dame remembers that.
Yeah.
You know, it might have been almost 100 years ago, but it can be 200 years. Notre Dame remembers how the Big Ten treated them.
Right. I got you. I saw in the comments, LBC Trojan said they just subscribed. So I went and checked the count. Sure enough. So I had to change the banner again. Appreciate you supporting the channel. Anybody that's not subscribed, if you hit the subscribe button, we will update the ticker as well. So we are in real time gaining subscribers, and I appreciate that, guys. I'm getting very, very, very excited about this. Very. Joey already knows because I text him all the time about it. I'm probably driving him nuts.
We talk about it. If y'all can see my chat messages, they're generally just numbers. All the way down through there. We'll have our conversations too every once in a while, but it's generally numbers. Like I'll text him a number for something, he'll text me a number. You bet say we just picked up another subscriber.
Right. Well, we picked up two.
So we just sit there and text numbers back and forth all day long. So yeah. It's pretty cool.
Hold on, guys. Hold on. Give me 1 second here. There we go. We explained it to Charlie, who's on the screen. He has become a $5 Patreon. There we go. So, Patreon. Sorry, I hope you didn't mind me sharing that. I should have asked. I'm sorry. My bad. But anyways, I was excited about it. We appreciate you joining Patreon. So that means you will be eligible for the score prediction contest, and you will have 5 guesses per week to nail that down. Hold on. I saw a comment at the top. Hold on. Let's see. I think I lost it. Dadgummit. It was something about a show for 10,000.
So Charlie,
we are gonna...
Charlie, be sure and join us Friday night at 10 o'clock on Patreon. Be sure and join in with us.
Yeah. Well, I thought I saw a. Hold on. Let me keep going just for a second, just to make sure. Well, I thought I saw a chat that said, "Are we going to do a live show for the 10,000?" I was going to put it on the screen, even though it wasn't a super chat. But anyways, yes, we are. We will definitely. Joey, we probably need to start planning it because we're getting really close. We need to, let's not wait till last second. So we'll get on that. Thank you, Uncle Larry. He just subscribed. Shorsey just subscribed. That's what I'm talking about, guys. That's what I'm talking about. Awesome. We are growing even in a live show. That's some good stuff. So what you were talking about, Jeff. So there's a big time hatred between Michigan and Notre Dame.
Oh yeah. Notre Dame, they treated Newt Rockne terrible. I mean, there were a lot of bad blood. Notre Dame had applied a couple times and just got shot down. And that's why now when the Big Ten invites Notre Dame, they're like, no, not going to happen.
You know, I didn't understand the actual history of that. So, I mean, that makes sense. It does. It makes sense. And so how long ago was that?
Well, Newt Rockne coached back in the early 1900s. So, I mean, you're talking 100 years ago.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's the reason why I brought it up. It's not just a heated rivalry. It is a very historic, long-lived rivalry. And even though it was a couple of generations ago, Notre Dame fans pass it on to the next generation, and the hate keeps going. Michigan and Notre Dame, bigger rivalries than what people realize. And that's one of the biggest reasons, like just mentioned, that Notre Dame hasn't joined the Big Ten. And a lot of people are saying one of the big reasons why Notre Dame will never join the Big Ten. So, having said that, does that mean that if Notre Dame had a choice between, hey, you have to join a conference no matter what, and it was between the Big Ten and the ACC, would it be the ACC? Is that the reason why the clause is in their contract? Because they know if they're forced to join a conference, they are not joining the Big Ten no matter what.
Right. And one thing people don't understand and don't know is Michigan is some snitches.
Okay, Kenneth.
Michigan not only, got into it with Notre Dame, but you do know what they did to Nebraska, right?
Oh, boy.
Nebraska lost AAU status because of leaders at Michigan. Michigan reported Nebraska, told on them about their school actually being in Omaha and they're not doing as many hours in Lincoln. And that's why Nebraska lost their AAU. Michigan wanted Nebraska kicked out of the conference.
So they thought by getting that done, Nebraska would be kicked. Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you, Will. Chloe. Hopefully I'm pronouncing your last name correctly. I'm guessing here. So if I say it wrong, please correct me. No hard feelings. Will Chloe for the $1.99 donation. Speaking for Notre Dame, we will join the Big Ten if they kick out Michigan. There you go. There you go. The hate is real.
Will's been in here. Will comes in with us sometimes. That's Will, the Notre Dame fan.
Okay. There you go. Will, the Notre Dame fan. I'll just have to remember that. Will, the Notre Dame fan. So yeah. So if Michigan ever left the Big Ten, which that'll never happen, just tells you that Notre Dame is never going to join the Big Ten because Michigan's never going to leave the Big Ten. They're not going to. They're not going to get kicked, and they're not going to leave on their own will.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can't get rid of
it. Was that bad? Anybody in the audience watching, if you haven't hit the like button, please do so. Even if you don't like the video or me, that's not what that means. It just helps the video hit the YouTube algorithm and gets the video suggested more. That's how you grow a video, by hitting the like button, and that part is free. Anybody that has a question for us or has a comment, or you want to troll me, best way to get our attention is the super chat. You see that on the screen. Will Clow, a.k.a. Will, the Notre Dame fan, super chatted $1.99 super chat. Do it on the screen like that, and if it's a question, we'll answer to the best of our ability. If it's a comment, we'll address it. So that's the best way to get our attention.
Hey,
we
also,
did.
I know
By the way, Shorsey, I'm hoping I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Said, and me and Joey actually talked about this. He said, hold on, what? Can you buy vape on the GBD merch site? We've actually talked about that.
Ooh, that's not going to be easy either.
Well, we would have to get a sponsor to do that. So we'll look around, and maybe if we show them how many subscribers we have, and as long as they have an online store and we can sell it on our store and they don't only sell it in store, that would be a problem because my subscriber base is all over the nation. Nobody's going to drive from Alabama or Pennsylvania or Michigan all the way
Texas,
to South Carolina just to buy some vape. So we need to make sure it's online, and we need to make sure that we can sell it on our store as well. But we will work on that. I think that's a great idea, actually.
I have a question, though. There will be no hemp in it, right? Because if I bring it into Russia, I don't want to be detained.
No. You're good. You're good.
I like you, man. On that.
That's crazy. How crazy is that?
You know what's crazy? And this might offend
a
few people. But why is Biden working on giving up a killer to get Brittany Griner out when we got people in the United States in prison for marijuana? Let's pull our own people out of our own prisons first.
Look at even the vice president put most of those ones in California in jail as an attorney. So it's like, and she lengthened her stays too.
Well, America is the number one most incarcerated nation in the world. We incarcerate and imprison the highest percentage of our population, more than anybody, because it has turned into a business. They make money off of it.
Exactly.
And the whole reason why marijuana is illegal is because they couldn't figure out a way to tax it whenever it came out. Now that they're starting to figure out a way how to tax it, you see it's becoming illegal. So it had nothing to do with it being a dangerous drug. And I don't smoke marijuana. I'm not necessarily promoting it. I'm just giving the history lesson here.
Here's the thing, GBD. I don't know if you knew, and I'm against drugs. I was a Marine. I'm against drugs. Okay. But marijuana, I learned a lot about it. It's not that bad. The reason why marijuana is illegal, and a lot of people don't know this, is when they ended prohibition, a government agency was going to be shut down because they couldn't go after alcohol no more. The head guy didn't want to lose his job, so he said marijuana was terrible. And instead of going after alcohol, they started going after marijuana. And that was back in, 1933, I believe, at the end of Prohibition. Yeah. That's why marijuana has been legal. And now it's illegal because Big Pharma don't want you to use it to take care of certain illnesses.
And certain also for pain management, too, because they lose a lot of money in pain management, a lot. Now, I know when it was still legal in Texas for the hemp oil and everything else, they had a lot of veterans off of general pain meds because of that.
Yeah. Well, you talked about the agency. Maybe it wasn't called this back then, but are you talking about maybe the possible precursor to the DEA, Jeff?
Actually, I think it was the precursor to the alcohol, tobacco, and firearms.
That was what I was thinking, the same thing.
Gotcha. I'm thinking that was the precursor. And again,
ATF.
I want to apologize. I didn't mean to turn this channel into marijuana or nothing like that. I just wanted to talk about Griner. But that's what I think. I think it was the precursor to alcohol, tobacco, and firearms.
Yeah.
Right. I got you. Shooter. Hold on. Shooter. What's going on, buddy?
Hey, how's it going?
Not much. So did you see the video that I put out earlier?
Which one?
Well, today I've only put out one so far, but it wasn't me predicting West Virginia to go to the ACC necessarily. It was just me giving the path. And the only path that I can see is, number one, the grant of rights have to be broken, and then the ACC grabbing teams out of the Big 12. They'd have to make sure that everybody would make more money, whether it's the current teams in the ACC or the current teams in the Big 12. And we actually have Baylor high on the list if that were to happen. Now, as a Baylor fan, if that were to happen and you're making more money, let me be clear. It might not be a lot more money, but I don't know, 70, 75 million per team, you're making more money. Would you be okay with that as a Baylor fan?
Well, you know, it kind of doesn't matter what I think, but yeah, I mean, if it's going to be more money, it'll happen more than likely. I will say that leaving the Big 12 is a painful situation because of the money, quite honestly, the exit fee money. And a lot of people don't realize this, but you only have to have 3 institutions left behind for everybody to be required to pay the exit fee. It's not a simple majority thing. So if in most scenarios, that's going to be Kansas State and either Iowa State or Texas Tech or something like that. And then, but the other thing a lot of people don't realize is that Houston, BYU, Cincinnati, and UCF are considered members now. Even though they haven't officially joined, they're actually part of that contract. I think they already signed it. So they would be, part of that 3 as well. If Houston and Kansas State get left behind, then so my point is Baylor would have to pay $80 million at least to leave the Big 12.
Now, what if they, they can announce whenever, but what if the mass exodus happens after the grant of rights expires?
It's not grant of rights. It's actually leaving the conference. Grant of rights is on top of the $80 million.
Okay, so that's no matter what.
No matter what, that $80 million is there. And then grant of rights money is added to it. And a lot of people don't realize that. That's something that's a little bit different about the Big 12 compared to Pac-12. And I think the ACC is different as well. I think theirs is grant of rights only. So, they did that after A&M and Missouri left. They changed the rule and said, we're going to make it painful for anybody to leave no matter what. And they did it. But I wouldn't be opposed to playing ACC teams. Honestly, a lot of it would be easier. I mean, we have Kansas, but Syracuse, Wake Forest, Boston College. There's a lot of kind of easy wins, to be really honest. And it'd all be East Coast, really, and so kickoff times wouldn't be so terrible. But whatever. I just don't know why ESPN would break the grant of rights. They are going to make money off the ACC if they leave it as it is. I don't see their incentive to break that because they're going to need that profit from the ACC because they're going to have to throw a lot of money in the SEC now that the Big Ten has done what they've done. So I don't know why ESPN would do it. But hey, if it happens, it happens, and money talks, and everything else is what. So I wouldn't be opposed to it as far as the game schedule. I think Miami would be a lot of fun. I think Clemson, obviously, and Florida State. I think Pitt will, obviously, for West Virginia, Pitt would be ecstatic. I think Louisville will be fun. But I don't know, man. I'd rather see the Big 12 expand and add some Pac-12 teams, and then I would like to see the ACC exist as it is for a while, playing Notre Dame with Clemson, with Florida State. Give Miami a chance. These guys are right on the cusp. Let's have some more competitive years with Pitt and Wake and people out of nowhere. But
bad news for Wake. Their quarterback, non-football related injury, had to have surgery, is going to be out for an indefinite amount of time. That changes a lot for Wake Forest because their defense was terrible last year. The only reason they won so many games and got to the ACC championship is because they could score 60 points a game. Well, their starting quarterback is not going to be there this year. I don't even know if he'll be back for 2023. We haven't got all the details. So Wake Forest is going to take a significant step back this year. Let me get to this super chat real quick. Thank you, David Cummings, for the $5 donation. Says, let's go. It's been a great show. I can't wait for the Mountaineers to beat Pitt. Me too. 3 weeks from now on my birthday. Wow.
Oh,
wow. That is
baby.
The stars aligning right there, buddy. College football is almost back, baby. That's what I'm talking. That is one of the all-time great super chats that I've ever read. 100% agree with that as well. I'm just going to
say you've got a lot of people here and a lot of people in the back room wanting to come in too. So I'm going to go ahead and hop off here. But let me just remind everybody, anybody that super chats for the month of August, you're in the drawing.
Hold on, Joey. Hold on.
Okay.
Hold on. Let me.
But anybody that super chats in the month of August, you're going to be in a drawing for a free trail cam to win a
Well, I'm
trophy.
trying to find that. I'm trying to find that, Joey.
DVDs. Going to put a picture up here of it. All these prizes that I'm getting ready to announce were donated by Traveling Fools, who's in our chat right now.
Right. So this
Be
is
sure to sub
the
up Traveling Fools.
Super Chat gets you entered to win that.
That's it.
All right. That's the trail
And then
cam,
if you make any purchase, yeah, that's the trail cam. If you make any purchase in the store, in our merchandise store, you can win a set of binoculars. They are night vision binoculars. They also take pictures and everything. They're really super nice. So thanks to Traveling Fools for donating these to our channel to give away. Like I say, be sure to support Traveling Fools. He's doing a great job over there. If you have not been on Traveling Fools' site on a Friday and Saturday night, you're missing it. I mean, we have a blast in there. It's a lot of fun. So go over there on Friday and Saturday nights. We go on late, generally about 10 or 11 o'clock, and we're on for hours and just having a good time. So
that's what it's all about.
Join us over there. All right, guys, I'm going to get out of here for today, and we will see everybody tomorrow.
Awesome,
See you,
Joey.
Joey.
You're
All
the
right,
man, Joey.
Right on cue, we have Will. Am I saying your last name correctly, by the way, Will?
It's Clow, but it's
Clow. Okay, there we go. Will Clow, but AKA Will the Notre Dame fan. If for some crazy, unforeseen reason, AKA money, Notre Dame did join the Big Ten, how would that make you feel as a Notre Dame fan?
It would be a shot in the gut, man. Like, I really it's just so hard for us to, like, after all these years, after all these times with the Big Ten flipping us off, that we take the bait. It would feel like selling my soul, honestly. It would feel like selling the soul of the team and the university and everything that Notre Dame football stands for.
I can understand that. So if it came down to a choice of, all right, I'm going to try to make this as reasonable as possible. So if it came down to Notre Dame, okay, let's say being independent is off the board. You can't be independent, okay? So let's say it came down to Notre Dame joining the Big Ten and making $100 million a year, or joining the ACC and making, I'm going to say, $60 million a year.
Absolutely ACC.
Absolutely ACC. I had a feeling he was going to say that. And I'm starting to, you know what? There for a while, I was wondering, why in the world would Notre Dame put that in their clause? Why would they put that in their clause? Hey, if we do join a conference, it has to be the ACC before 2036. I'm starting to understand it. That's just how much Notre Dame hates the Big Ten.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. Plus, also with Notre Dame, they like to play games.
I didn't know that the hate was that rooted. That's crazy.
Plus, also Notre Dame likes playing games with the Big Ten, anyways, too. At the same time, my wife's a Notre Dame fan. She's like, I pride myself that Notre Dame is a independent school.
Right. Notre Dame likes playing the Big Ten, but they don't want to be in the Big Ten.
Yeah, and I don't think they'll ever go into the ACC either.
Right.
They'll go somewhere else before that.
Might be right.
But I do think some of the Big Ten games are going to go away for Notre Dame.
What's going on, J-Dub?
I think Notre Dame, unless they realize that a path to the playoff is impossible, I think Notre Dame will try to remain independent as long as they possibly can.
Yep.
Right.
That's just the nature of it. It's who they are. For all their animosity to the Big Ten, academically, size of endowments, geography, which does matter, culture, which very much matters. Notre Dame is far more a Big Ten school than it is an ACC, even though you've got all the bad blood but that bad blood exists amongst people in my generation, the guys in their 50s and the 60s and the 70s. It doesn't exist in the younger generations.
Right.
And that's a lot of
if
cheese.
You think about
$100 million is a lot of cheese to be throwing
that
around.
have bad blood within the conference themselves. There's bad blood between conference members. That's what makes it so great.
Oh, yeah.
It's like the same thing with Penn State and Ohio State. They have bad blood too.
It doesn't get discussed because they're not football enemies.
Right.
But in basketball and in the Olympic sports, it often overlooked is the tremendous animosity between Illinois and Indiana.
Yep.
Those two
Especially
schools
basketball.
absolutely do not like each other at all. But they've got the common denominator is greater than the, I don't like you because of this type thing.
Right.
I just think Notre Dame's roots as an independent are so deep. I really don't think look, I'm not laughing at 100 million. I'm not laughing at 60 million. That's like Edward Dirksen once said, you took $1 million here, $1 million there. Pretty soon you're talking about real money.
Right.
But I just think that culturally, who they are, Catholic institution, independent, being able to, unless they're frozen out schedule-wise, they want to make a national schedule. I just think the freezing out who they could schedule and thus cutting their route to the playoffs, that's going to be the deciding factor, in my opinion, not money.
Right. That's what I think. I think it's a combination. I don't think the hate is the main reason. I think it's a combination of the hate, the pride of being independent, being able to choose your schedule. I think the schedule is a bigger part than people realize.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But it's not just the hate; it's a combination of a lot of things.
Yeah.
And money isn't the most important thing to Notre Dame. I mean, they've been making pennies on that NBC contract for over 20 years now. It's an irrelevant contract, to be honest with you. So they've come out and said, hey, if we can just have $75 million a year, which is, more than $20 million a year less than the Big Ten, they're still happy to be independent. So it's not all about the money for Notre Dame, but they do want to make enough to where they can keep up with everybody in recruiting because of the NIL thing. I think that's why it's a little bit more important now.
But
Are we looking at a fourplex at 16? Are we looking at 4 16-team conferences? Is that where we're going? Because at the moment, the Big Ten apparently, and now they got the TV money coming in. The Big Ten said, "Hey, look, we're standing at 16." The SEC said, "Hey, we're standing at 16." They might actually have been serious.
Right.
Well, for now.
No.
At least for
Don't
now.
trust the Big Ten. Ask the Pac-12 if you trust the Big Ten.
Yeah.
If I'm West Virginia, I've got a lot of reasons why I'd like to be in the ACC. But I can also look in the crystal ball and see that there's a little bit of smoke down the road, and maybe I don't want to find out that's a big car wreck and I can't see it because there's a lot of fog over the interstate. And I know I'm safe in the Big 12. You may have the ACC may be the guys that gets picked apart a little bit.
Right. Well, and that's why I said whenever I talked about the video that I made today, I have, y'all know me. It's been an actual prediction because of what my sources have told me, West Virginia, Notre Dame to the ACC, but I have backed out of that so much to the point to where even today, whenever I made this video, yes, this is the path, but it's a very narrow path. What is the actual chances of this path happening? It's not very high. My personal opinion is I think West Virginia will stay in the Big 12, and I think that the ACC gets picked apart by a combination of the Big 10, the SEC, and the Big 12. Whether it happens sooner by teams, voting to break the grant of rights, or whether it happens later, 2036. That's my gut feeling on all this.
But who is Notre Dame going to pick up to start playing? Because once USC and UCLA go to the Big Ten, then Notre Dame is not going to be able to play USC towards the end of the year. They're going to have to play them in September.
Well, they've already got them scheduled and contracted for quite a while. So I don't think USC wants to break that contract.
No, I'm not saying they're going to break with USC, but that's one game.
Right.
Like all the filler games.
There's only 4 weeks to play. You've only got 4 weeks in September to play.
Yeah.
And Notre Dame always plays 3 Big Ten teams, and they play USC and they play Stanford. So if Stanford were to happen to go to the Big Ten, now Notre Dame, what do? You're going to lose another game because the Big Ten is not going to do like the SEC and say, okay, you can schedule a non-conference game in November. They're not going to do that. So the USC Notre Dame game is going to get moved to September. Does Notre Dame still play 3 other Big Ten teams all in the month of September? Does you know?
Yeah.
What happens if the Big Ten decides they want to play an extra conference game than what they're playing now?
You know, I for Baylor last year we scheduled a game with BYU in November, and you know, the Big 12 made it work. We had our game earlier in the year in September. Our first conference game was a little earlier. I think that, you know, if the ACC and the Big 12 still exist, there'll be a lot of places that Notre Dame can play a game. It won't be a problem. Right. And they've still got the American. I mean, they played Cincinnati last year. It turned out to be not what they wanted to have, but, you know, so they'll play the Mountain West, you know, they'll play American, and then they'll figure out the rest. But the real question is, would the Big Ten decide to freeze out Notre Dame? And then on the same side, they're trying to entice Notre Dame to join them. I don't know if they can do that.
Me neither. The Big Ten, I know they will not try to freeze out Notre Dame because of one reason: Michigan, Notre Dame, Ohio State, and Notre Dame. That brings a lot of money to them.
Why would they played them in September?
What if it comes down to playoffs or playing Notre Dame? They're going to choose the playoffs. So I have representatives from the SEC with Jeff. You're a fan of Alabama. The Big Ten with Robert, Penn State fan.
Not
the
Penn
Big
State
12.
fan. I'm a Florida State fan, but I know the Big Ten.
Penn State. Okay,
no, I'm
so
Florida
ACC.
State, but I know the Big Ten because I was raised up there. That's the reason why I know the Big Ten very well.
Shooter, Big 12 with Baylor, and Will, Notre Dame fan, independent, and of course me, Golden Blue, West Virginia Big 12 as well. So I wanted to ask y'all, how would you feel? And I already know the answer for the non-SEC or Big Ten fans, but what if the Big Ten and the SEC are done for good and they break off together at 32 teams? Is that good or bad for college football?
That is terrible.
Yeah, that's bad for the SEC and the Big Ten. I mean, not just college football.
Right.
Yeah, if the Big Ten does that, that's like with the SEC. It's like dropping the gauntlet with all the rest of the schools.
Right.
Left over. It's not feasible. Yeah. It would actually hurt everybody. It wouldn't.
That would be as successful. That'd be as successful as that thing that they tried to do with soccer in Europe.
Right.
It would crater.
Right.
It wouldn't happen. And the SEC, look, Stanky's too smart for that. Or what? Sankey's too smart for that.
Stanky.
He's not gonna try that with 16 teams. He's not that dumb. So that ain't gonna happen.
Oh man.
But can I ask a question?
Yeah, Jeff.
I'd like to hear from the other people.
Okay.
How many different teams have won a national championship in the last 50 years?
Yeah. You asked that question the other day. I kind of don't care, to be really honest with you, because I would rather see a 12-team playoff than worry about who's going to be the last two. I just would rather see a 12-team playoff because nobody really goes and says, that whole thing with March Madness, we should just take the top 12 or top 16 or top 8. Nobody wants to go backwards. And that's the way I look at the playoffs. Look, if you're going to end up with Bama and Georgia again, fine. But give people a shot and just make it fun, because right now it's not fun to watch Clemson, Bama, Ohio State, and then throw in maybe Notre Dame or Oklahoma every time. We're tired of that. Let's just have fun. That's what college is about, man. That's what college football's fun.
So instead of the question of how many teams have won a national championship in the past,
50 years,
how many teams have had a shot at winning a national championship? Well, you got to throw in.
That don't change it a whole lot, though.
Not a whole lot, but it does change it because you got to look at, okay, you have the national champions, then you have the teams that they played in the national championship. All right, then the playoff era. So you got to throw all the teams that played in the playoffs, but then you also got to throw in the teams that came up short and didn't win the national championship. West Virginia would fit in that category. Now, they were already in that category because they played in the national championship in 88, but also in 2007, they had a chance. In 93, they had a chance. There's a lot of teams out there that haven't made the playoffs, that haven't made the national championship, that still had a chance to win the national championship, but during the season, the ball didn't fall their way.
Yeah.
Look, a lot of people don't talk about this. Skill, coaching, and a little bit of luck is the recipe to winning a national championship. You have to have a little bit of luck in some of these games.
I mean, I'm at 18 right now. I could be missing some, but I'm at 18. I'm trying to think of all of them in the last 50 years.
There's actually 28.
Well, let's expand to 28.
There we go, 28. We found
I'm trying to go through all the Power Fives, but I probably missed some.
You know, there's 27 in Power Fives, and then you got Notre Dame and BYU. But BYU, I'm counting in a Power Five because the Big 12.
They won the national championship in what, 82?
You know what? I
Baylor
think
won in 84 or no,
84.
Yeah.
Still biggest robbery. Tied that more over Rocket Ishmael. Biggest robbery. According to my dad.
You're going to run into a problem, Shooter. Is a lot of conferences don't want a 12-team playoff because they feel that it's too much of an advantage for a team to have a bye, because by them having a bye, they are automatically a first-round winner. They're not getting their players hurt. They don't have to worry about an injury. They get to sit home and scout the teams that they're going to play, because they're going to know ahead of time, we're going to play these two teams. So that gives them 2 weeks of scouting just those teams. They don't have to worry about scouting the team they're playing this week. They can scout for the next week. And I think 12 teams is not doable. I don't think enough will go for 12. I'll be honest with you. I'm for a 16 team. Let's go. Let's invite half the fucking people and let's get some more football going.
Yeah, we got the New Year's Six Bowls, SoFi, and Allegiant stadiums. Those are all of the stadiums we can have for our 16-team playoff.
In response to the bye thing, and I agree with you, actually, I'd rather have 8 or 16. I don't like byes. But you've got to try and get Alabama and the SEC on board. And so they might actually say, well, okay, we get a bye, because they're going to assume they're going to get the bye. And so they might be okay with it. But, so I'm okay. Look, anything more than 4, I'll just put it that. 6 is garbage. Give me a break. So 8, 12, 16, I think those are the numbers we're looking at. I'll take any of them.
I'm just hoping they don't do it in baby steps, because that's what they've done in the past. Let's go from 2 to 4. Okay? Yeah. Let's go from 4 to 6.
Hey, 4 is better
than 2. Let's skip to the number that we want.
If you do go to 12, though, Notre Dame joins a conference. Because if you give a bye to conference champions, Notre Dame's not going to say, well, we'll just give up the bye.
I don't know. After talking to a lot of Notre Dame
I would
fans,
play on the road. If it was up to me, I would play on the road.
Hey,
Notre Dame would still have a shot to have a home playoff game. You just won't get the bye.
You're not going to get a bye. You're going to play an extra game and take a chance that your players get hurt, and you're going to take a chance that you lose.
Well, Notre Dame's known for gambling, so I've seen a few Notre Dame games, and they're known for gambling. So
I don't think we go to 12 with auto bids. I think I've said this before, but I think you go to 12 and say no more than 4 teams from any one conference, and everything's at large. And then that way, Notre Dame has I think Notre Dame would make it most years, or at least for the past 5.
I would agree.
But I don't think you do. I don't think you do.
Year.
Oh, sorry. What did you say, Will?
I said besides 2016, I think we would have made it through 2015 to present. Like just that one year, we wouldn't have made it.
So I think you don't do auto bids for champions just because you can't really guarantee you're going to get the best of the best. I mean, unless you say everybody has to put their top 2 teams in the title game, which only the Big 12 does right now. You take the risk of getting a 3-loss Iowa.
But I think everybody's going to start doing that with the division gone away. Yeah, guys, I'm going to wrap this up. I got some other things I have to do today, but this was a great show. Quick update. Hold on, guys. Give me 1 second. Let me make sure that didn't change. Quick update on the subscriber count. We actually gained like 9 subscribers during the live show. So
not bad.
That's pretty awesome. We are now 95 subscribers away from 10,000 subscribers. So anybody watching, anybody in the chat, if you haven't hit the subscribe button, if you're a college football fan, you might want to consider doing that because that's all we do here. And I don't take any days off. So there is no, whenever I started the show, I said happy hump day. For me, there is no hump day. I do videos every day. So my work week is every day. This is what I do. So if you love college football, this is the channel for you. Hit the subscribe button. We are on our way to 10,000 subscribers. Guys, great show. I appreciate everybody coming on, but you know what time it is? It is time for the last word for everybody. We will start with Will Clow. Did I say that right?
It's Clow. Don't worry about it.
I knew I said that wrong. I knew it. Clow. Will the Notre Dame fan. How about that? Last word of the day for you, buddy.
Last word of the day is most people think that Notre Dame fans hate USC the most. We don't really like USC, but we don't hate them as much as Michigan. Michigan is Notre Dame fans' most hated rival. Notre Dame fans hate Michigan, respect USC, can't stand Michigan.
Nice. That's a good last word, by the way.
Well said. I hear it from my wife all the time about how much she hates Michigan. She's a Notre Dame fan herself. So that is correct.
Shooter, last word, buddy.
Hey. Well, I just wanted to say I've been doing a lot of looking at the defense this year, and Baylor's defensive line, guys, is going to be pretty amazing.
Oh, yeah.
All these guys have packed on an extra 15, 20 pounds of muscle since last year. They're all return starters from last year. We added Jackson Player from Tulsa, who's actually a local Waco guy. But the big thing is this is the advantage we have this year, which is the advantage that Alabama has almost every year. Our defensive line is going up every week against the top 10 offensive line, and our D-line is winning. So I'm telling you, man, it's going to be brutal in the trenches in the Big 12 this year, and I am there for it. So, and thanks for coming out my face the whole time, man. What's up with that?
Oh, man. Well, no, it actually wasn't the whole time because you were above it. It was just now whenever Will was gone.
It's probably a beautification project. Yeah. Nice job.
Yeah, that was on YouTube or StreamYard, not on me. How about that?
Yeah,
all right, thanks man. Y'all have a good one. Oh, horns down, man. Horns down.
There you go.
Horns down.
Well said.
Hey.
Robert, last word of the day for you, buddy.
Not much. This was quite enjoyable. We really thought everything through with the discussion and everything, especially with the ESPN part.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, because ESPN, the only thing I say is if they lose any of the other sports, the offers for the college football is going to start dropping no matter what.
I hear you.
That's where ESPN should start sweating. Is if they lose like the NBA or NFL, they're done.
Yeah, I would agree. Good job, buddy. Jeff, Mr. Jeff, or no, I said that wrong. Jeff, Mr. Taco Grimm. Even though it's not Taco Tuesday, he's still Mr. Taco.
Hey, it's always Tuesday, and remember, in Mexico, we have tacos every day.
That's right.
I'm going to give you another shout out. Everybody, please join Patreon. We only got 3 more weeks, and we're going to do the score predictions for a $5 donation once a month. You can win $20 a week.
Yep.
And also, if you get a chance, go to Tide Guy and subscribe to my channel, and we'll start doing live shows once I can get enough members.
We'll actually do live shows together. All you have to do is get to 50, and boom, there you go.
That'll work. I should be able to do that by next week.
Nice. I'll say by Monday at least. Sunday maybe.
I'm hoping.
Sunday.
I did 3 videos today, so if anybody wants to go, check them out. I did one on football, one on basketball, and then the little bit on Wake Forest. So
see, I'm a nice guy. Look, our rival Pitt, I'm still shouting them out. If you're interested in Pitt, check me out, the Panther Room. See, I try to be nice.
I'll go check him out after this. You have a great day.
I'll actually subscribe to him if I'm not already. I know they're a rival, but all right, buddy. Thank you.
All right, man. Bye.
See ya. Yeah. Even while we were talking, we actually gained 3 more subscribers. 3. So that's a great live show. We gained what was it? I think it was like 12 subscribers, 13 subscribers. So yeah, pretty awesome day. Appreciate everybody that hit the subscribe button. Everybody that hit the like button, everybody that commented, joined the show, super chat, everybody that supported the channel and supported this video. We greatly appreciate you. I had a great time. I hope you had a great time because that's what this is all about. This isn't about being right or wrong. This is about talking college football and having fun. That's it. So you're not always going to agree with me, but hopefully you're at least all the time entertained. As long as you're entertained, I've done my job. So if you're a college football fan and you're not subscribed to Gold and Blue Dude, subscribe to Gold and Blue Dude because you're going to like it. I promise. You will like it. And if you are a subscriber, make sure to hit the notifications because I don't know when I'm going to go live next. I have a busy schedule, so I try to, I just squeeze in the live shows whenever I can. I will be having another live show tomorrow. I just don't know what time. So it's good. It's good to hit that notification if you're a subscriber. All right, guys, that's it for today. We'll have another live show tomorrow. But happy hump day to everybody.